Hi everybody, it's Tyler again. Today we are working on getting this Vivor suitcase diesel heater. We designed a way to mount it to this cap so that way when I'm camping I can hang it off the side of the cap. Normally when people camp they put something like a tire table on here. That way they can have a flat table and just mount it right here. And then you have the ductwork running into the actual tent. But I figured if I hang it about here, then that ductwork will be a lot shorter. You'll lose a lot less heat. Instead of having 4 to 6 feet of ductwork, you'll just have a couple of feet. My plan to do this is to 3D print and 3D design a handle that goes on the side of the actual cap itself. And we're going to design a hook that'll go from the handle to the actual heater itself. That way it'll mount it onto the cap and have much shorter ductwork, and I can keep nice and toasty when I'm camping when it's cold. We're going to get started on designing this. I'm going to show you my computer, the 3D file that I designed. I also want to let everybody know I have a affiliate link in the description for this Vivor diesel heater. And also I'm going to be having the link in the description for both the 3D models that I designed for this exact setup. If anyone has a 3D printer and wants to print them themselves, they can feel free to do so. It's going to be up there for free. I'm also going to be putting the actual handle and hook on Etsy. If anyone wants to buy them and they don't have a 3D printer, I can print one out and ship one to you. So yeah, let's go inside and check it. I'll show you guys my printer and then we're going to get working on the designing on this. So this is the 3D printer I used to make both of the parts in the video. This is the Bamboo A1 with the AMS, even though I didn't use the AMS. I used this filament, which is carbon fiber PETG. You can't feed this through the AMS because I guess the carbon fiber will damage it. This printer is about $300. It's a super entry-level printer. When I bought it, I had no idea how to do anything 3D printing related, so super beginner friendly if you're looking to get into it, and not terribly expensive. But this was used to print everything in this video, and I've used this for every print I've done. I've had it for about 2 years. Never really had any issues with it. I had one print failure, but that was because my plate was getting old and stuff wasn't sticking. I had a gigantic clog. I had to fix some stuff on it, but definitely recommend this printer to anyone looking to get into stuff like this. But that was what we used to be able to print everything on this video. So here's Fusion 360 and the handle design. You can see what I started off with and how I filleted the edges and kind of rounded them off to make it be smoother to the touch and not have sharp edges. The next part is me putting the holes and then making the holes a bit bigger so I could fit the whole head of the bolt through, and then rounding them off. I also just want to say I'm not an expert at 3D design or 3D printing in any way, especially not when it comes to designing. I'm actually pretty bad at 3D design, but both of these are pretty simple, so it wasn't too bad for me to make. But yeah, that's the completed handle design, the 3D model in Fusion 360. Next, we went into the Bamboo Lab slicer software, this is what actually tells the printer what to do with the 3D file. And these are the settings that I use for it. I actually ended up using supports only on the bottom section, just because of the overhang. I needed supports to be able to get it to print properly. And then I changed the infill because it's important that this is strong. Actually, I don't see the supports in here, but I did end up using supports in the bottom because I had a few printing errors before I actually got the finished product. This is the 3D model for the hook. This one was a super simple design. I basically just designed how I wanted it to look from the side and then just stretched it out. You can see this is the actual like sketch. That's what the shape of it I wanted it to be. I just took some measurements of the handle on the cap and a handle on the heater, and then just extruded it to make it wide. And that's really it. I didn't want to round the edges on this because I wanted to make it as simple to print as possible. But that's the design for the actual hook. Again, both of these files will be in the description if you want to download them, or I can actually ship you printed pieces. That link will be below too. But this is the hook on the bamboo slicer. This one I wasn't as concerned about the strength just because there's not as much force on this, and it's kind of spread evenly. With the handle, the force is kind of on the actual bolt holes. I was really worried about those breaking, but you'll see later that it ended up being stronger than I expected it to be. I changed the infill to make it a little bit stronger, but not too much. The default settings 15%. I think I changed it to 20 on this. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Still ended up being around 8-hour print. Here's the printer printing the actual hook itself. And it's the filament where it's coming from. I have to print it from the filament dryer. This is the completed hook. Just taking it off once it's done. And it ended up printing out really well with the carbon fiber PETG. So looked great. Super happy with the way that came out. The next print's going to be the handle. This is one of the prints that I had an issue with, but you can kind of see the filament not really there. So we had to reprint it and had an issue with it. But you'll see the next one, this is the completed product when I got it to print right. We had some supports on it, but it ended up looking pretty much perfect once I got the settings right. So super happy with that. All right, so we have the T-slots, T-nuts in there. We're gonna bolt this thing on now, which might be a little bit of a hassle getting it lined up, but we're gonna figure it out. Luckily on this design, I left enough room to be able to get a tool into the hole, so that's pretty cool. That way I can run something with an extension on it. Wow, all right, I thought this was gonna be a lot harder to get this thing lined up. But it looks like it's going on there pretty easy. And the last hole is about there. All right, there you go. That is on there. We're going to tighten it down a bit, but not too tight because I don't want to break this thing immediately. Pretty strong. I'm shaking my whole truck with it. Huh. So that's cool. Wow. Got a little bit of flex. I'm scared to do this, but okay, that holds me, and I weigh about 165 pounds. Wow, that's stronger than I thought it would be. Let's put the hook on there and let's test this diesel heater. So here's the actual hook. Hook goes on there. And now we get the heater. So this won't be able to open with this in there, but still opens just fine without the hook. So that's cool. So we're gonna put this hook on there. That looks absolutely amazing. Super happy with that. All right. Look at that. There you go. There's a diesel heater mount. It looks pretty good. I want to bring you over here to get you a closer look. Oh, get you a closer look of it, but that works exactly as I intended. So that's awesome when you design something and it works. Let's get you a close-up. So for the close-up, you have to slide in some T-nuts into here. That's what these bolt up to. There's 3 bolts on that, and the hook just kind of pops into there. And then the heater itself sits right up against that. So this will be the outlet. And then we'll basically just run ducting out here right up into the tent once the tent's set up. That way, a lot of people put like tire tables on here. But you got to think that's maybe 5-6 feet of ducting that you're going to be losing heat. So it's going to be a little less efficient. That's the intake on this side and the exhaust. I'll put the exhaust and I'll just put it so that it goes out here and angled this way. That way it's pointed away from the truck. This thing came out pretty sweet. I'm excited about that. So we're going to test this thing out for a long period of time. Probably not that long actually, because it's probably going to heat this tent up really quick. So yeah, there's the diesel heater hook mount for the outside camper's cap. This might work for other heaters. I can definitely design something differently. This is a pretty simple design, especially once the handle's on there. That handle held me. I don't want to break it too much because I want to be able to test this. Once I test it, then I'll gladly basically stress test it and see where the limit is before it breaks. But the fact it held me up is awesome because this heater is only 30 pounds and I weigh more than that. So If it can hold me, it can definitely hold a heater. So the pop-up cap has these flaps that zip down on the side. We're gonna run this up and under there, along with the power outlet. That way you can run it to our power station inside. So let's go up inside and set it up. That way the only really air we have coming in is here. And that'll be from the actual heater. We're gonna plug it in and turn the AC power on. And then when we're ready to fire the diesel heater up, the next video is going to be a test of this with the tent popped up. It's not very cold today. It's about 40 degrees and sunny, so it's not really a good test. We're going to try to get it around 20 degrees, maybe even colder than that, to do an actual test on this thing. And we're going to pop up the tent, run it into there, get some data on how long it takes it to warm up, how much fuel we use, what settings we need to use it at. That way, when I'm ready to go camping in the winter, I have a good idea of how well this thing will work, and you have a good idea of how this thing works. Feel free to subscribe. That way you can see the next video. We're going to try to keep some informative videos going about camping, off-grid, stuff like that. So this is what it would look like with it set up and running the diesel heater. So the handle's up there. The hook is on the handle of the actual diesel heater. I have the exhaust just pointed away from the truck. The intake running up under the flap and into the tent, and also the power adapter running up into the tent to where the power station is. But that's how you'd set it up. So if anyone has this style of diesel heater and would like to get one of these 3D printed items, the handle or the hook, the file is online for free if you want to just download it and 3D print it yourself, or maybe you have a buddy with a 3D printer. Or you can just purchase mine. I'll have it up on Etsy if anyone wants to buy it. It'll be up there for you to purchase, and I'll print it and ship it to you. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It's kind of a little combination of DIY and 3D printing and how you can combine them. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoy this, please subscribe. I have an affiliate link in the description for this diesel heater if anyone wants to buy one. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you guys will stick around for the next one. Thank you.